Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Palworld hit the gaming community like an absolute thunderstorm, ladies and gentlemen. For an entire generation of us that grew up on the Pokemon, the original Nintendo Pokemon games out there, it was something that was a very refreshing update that teased all of our favorite little parts that we loved about Pokemon, but also gave us so much lore with the ability to blast and go ahead and take out and damage your actual Pokemon, like legitimately all by yourself, and be able to capture them in fun, unique new ways. It was something that was a really great time, and obviously there was a lot of worries that Pokemon and the Nintendo company would eventually come after Palworld for what was pretty obviously, maybe possibly, some potential copyright infringements that a lot of people actually pointed out, that some of these mechanics and some of these little, well, not the mechanics, but some of these creatures out there looked very, very similar to some of the stuff that was out there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that time is officially over. Nintendo has finally sued Palworld, but it's not for what you think, ladies and gentlemen. It is not copyright infringement. No, it is something completely and totally different, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty crazy. Palworld has already responded this morning because this news just broke last night, and now we have the full story as far as what they're going after, Nintendo's statement and Palworld's response, but all of the juicy details of how this court filing will actually end up going are yet to come, so make sure if you haven't already, boys and girls, before we get into these articles, give you all the juicy details, hit that subscribe and or follow button, smash that like button, and leave us a comment down below. Are you a big Palworld fan? Are you going to go out there and play the game even more now because of what Nintendo's trying to do? Do you believe this is an absolute affront to basic understanding of transformative content and be able to recreate things with your own artist flair? Or do you side with Nintendo that says this is so very obviously a blatant ripoff that of course they were going to end up getting sued? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below, because all of that stuff really does help out and it helps with the algorithm. But also, wait until the end, because you never know. You might change your tune by the time you hear what Nintendo's actually suing them over. So, from IGN.com, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company officially suing Palworld developers over multiple patent infringements. Yes, boys and girls, not a copyright claim, but a patent infringement. So what? The developers over at Palworld snuck into the Nintendo offices and stole your programming code? We'll have to see how this ends up going in court, boys and girls. But yes, as we talked about earlier, Palworld has officially responded. So we're going to get into that in a minute. But let's go check this out, the full breaking original. It's official. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are taking legal action against Palworld's developer, Pocket Pair. The companies filed a lawsuit against the developer today, September 18th, seeking an injunction against infringement and compensation for damages on the grounds that Palworld, a game developed and released by the defendant, infringes upon multiple patent rights. Yes, not copyright infringements, but patent rights, boys and girls. So let's just go over here and check out Nintendo's lovely little statement. So this is the statement directly from their website, Nintendo Co. Japan. You can see that. Filing lawsuit infringement of patent rights against Pocket Pair Incorporated. Nintendo Company Ltd, all their representatives, together with the Pokemon Company, filed a patent infringement lawsuit in the Tokyo District Court against Pocket Pair Incorporated on September 18th, 2024. The lawsuit seeks an injunction against infringement and compensation for damages on the grounds that Palworld, a game developed and released by the defendant, infringes multiple patent rights. Now, this is one of the things that's kind of interesting, and I honestly think probably one of the main reasons they're actually going after them is because Palworld was so very successful and indeed made them company a lot of money that they did not expect to make, and ended up having to hire whole new teams of people just to handle all of the influx of that kind of stuff, which honestly, shout out to them and Pocket Pair for coming up with something that really hit that itch for so many grown-up adult Pokemon fans out there. But this is one of the things that really seems kind of interesting and kind of crazy to me. So Nintendo will continue to take the necessary action against any infringements of its intellectual property rights, including the Nintendo brand itself, to protect the intellectual property as worked hard to establish over the years. And this, like I said, has been kind of wild, has been kind of crazy to see all of this kind of stuff from them. So the filing is absolutely massive news and follows months of speculation that Nintendo would take legal action over the indie survival game that's been referred to as Pokemon with Guns. Nintendo has previously released a statement about Palworld in January, vowing to investigate and take appropriate measures against any potential infringement content. A modder also claimed that Nintendo has come for me after posting a clip with Pokemon's Ash Ketchum and Palworld. Well, that's a pretty obvious direct ripoff, because there's a lot of arguments to be made for like transformation of characters, and there's a lot of things that have been established in the court of law before. If you tweak a little bit here, you tweak a little bit there, and make it to where it's not an obvious ripoff, that you can generally get along with these kind of things, which is why it's probably why Nintendo Nintendo is not going after them for copyright infringement because the stuff's been changed enough to where that would not hold up in even their courts over there. So this is how they're trying to go after them to take them down. And trust me, this is clearly something their lawyers have been working on for a very long time, and at least to some degree believe that they can be successful with this. As to how the court actually ends up ruling on something like this, especially considering on time right now where all of this stuff is constantly in flux with the way the culture is, I'd be very curious to see how all of this goes. But 6 months later in June, Pocket Pair insisted that Nintendo had yet to make a complaint against the Pokemon ripoff claims. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company didn't say anything to us. Pocket Pair boss told GameFile. Of course, I love Pokemon and I respect it. I grew up with it. It's my generation. So now we go into Palworld's actual response. So shout out to comicbook.com over here for posting this out there on my social media and out there for making me be able to find it. But we might as well just go straight to the horse's mouth right here, boys and girls, because this is directly from Palworld. I'm a nerd here to interrupt myself because there's been a slight update literally within 5 to 15 minutes after I recorded this video, because our dear sweet friend Grums once again has found some very interesting information out there, because it turns out Nintendo and Pokemon might be pulling some really shady garbage in order to pull off this lawsuit. Because check this out. This is a patent filing from them that was just published on August 22nd, 2024. Check out the application filed May 2nd, 2024. How was it? About 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 months? Right, about 3 or 4 months after this game came out, they decided to file this patent, right? So what's this patent all about, right? Storage, medium storing, game program, game system, game apparatus, and game processing mode. In first mode, an aiming direction in a virtual space is determined based on a second operation input. Okay, I'm not going to read off the whole thing because it's a lot of technical jargon, but if you want to pause the video and read it for yourself, essentially what this is they patented throwing a character. They literally patented throwing things. They literally patented throwing things at enemies, particularly items that contain pets. Literally even says a third operation input. So because you took a character inside of a container and threw it out onto a field, and that character popped out and battled another character or just battled something, just went around in the environment, but you controlled that character, that's what it is. They didn't file this until after Palworld came out and they saw the success. This is shady, this is garbage, this is trash, and I don't care how Japan's legal system works out. If this is held up, it's absolute garbage, because you can prove that they did this directly in response to Palworld's success. This is hot garbage, and I cannot wait to see if this is indeed confirmed that this is what Nintendo's suing them over, because if this is shady, this is garbage, and Nintendo deserves to hear it from every fan out there for doing something like this. Now back to your regularly edited video. So regarding the lawsuit, yesterday a lawsuit was filed against our company for patent infringement. We received notice of this lawsuit. We will begin the appropriate legal proceedings and investigations into the claims of the patent infringement. At this moment, we are unaware of specific patents we are accused of infringing upon, and we have not been notified of such details. And that's one of the other curious things that we're going to be really curious to see what they actually are suing them specifically over. There's some rumors going on out there about some unverified sources, but they were saying it has specific like patents that the Nintendo and Palworld, Nintendo and Pokemon have actually done in the last couple of years, which that would seem kind of odd and kind of strange to me as well. But that's all strictly rumor and speculation as far as, like I said, that's unverified sources, and we actually haven't seen the legal court documents out there yet. And obviously it'll take some time to translate them and stuff like that as well. But we will keep you up to date with that, all that kind of stuff. So make sure you hit that notification bell as well. So Pocket Pair is a small indie game company based in Tokyo. Our goal as a company has always been to create fun games, which they did very, very well. We will continue to pursue this goal because we know that our games bring joy to millions of gamers around the world. Palworld was a surprise success this year, both for gamers and for us. We were blown away by the amazing response to the game, and we've been working hard to make it even better for our fans. We will continue improving Palworld and strive to create a game that our fans can be proud of. It is truly unfortunate that we were forced to allocate significant time to matters unrelated to game development due to this lawsuit. Now, some people take this out there and say, well, that might slow down Palworld updates and stuff like that, which of course obviously could be a possibility if they're concentrating more of their time, their efforts, their resources, i.e. money, on dealing with this lawsuit from Nintendo, which of course is a behemoth of a company with lawyers out the wazoo and deep old pockets to push this back and pursue this as long as they can. I'd be very curious to see if Nintendo ends up trying to settle this too, if they actually want to go all the way to court. I'd be curious to see which way Palworld falls on this as well. I hope they kind of stick to their guns and actually go all the way to court and to trial to see what actually happens. But if their lawyers advise them to not go that direction simply because of the fact that it looks like they will indeed lose this, then it might be better for them just to settle so that way we don't end up losing Palworld outright. Because I know a lot of people out there love it. It's a game that I have gone back and played a couple of times since the initial big craze was over, and I still really do enjoy it. So hopefully this ends up continuing going forward. All right, so however, we will do the utmost for our fans and to ensure the indie game developers are not hindered or discouraged from pursuing their creative ideas. Yeah, what's wrong with making a ripoff of Pokemon? As long as you're not stealing all of the straight drain mechanics from the original games and like stuff like that and making all the maps look the same and the characters look the same. It's not it's not an original idea to be able to go out there and capture monsters and be able to play them in a game. As if that was the case, there's a lot of things out there that Pokemon and the Nintendo company would have sued them over. This is a little ridiculous in this humble common nerd's opinion, boys and girls. We apologize to our fans and our supporters for any worry or discomfort this news has caused. As always, thank you for your continued support of Palworld and Pocket Pair. And I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now on this thing, because that's what we know. The lawsuit's officially filed. Nintendo was officially struck first. Well, I mean, it wasn't like Palworld was going to strike back anyway, but Nintendo has officially laid down their gauntlet. They've given us some limited amount of information about what the lawsuit contains. We'll have to wait for the legal filings to find out exactly what they are trying to go them after and whether or not we all think this is absolutely ridiculous. If the rumors end up being true about the fact that they're trying to literally patent gameplay mechanics and that whole ridiculousness, if that is actually legitimately true that they can do that, that is maddening to think of. And if that's what they're trying to sue them for, and like literally, what are you going to have, how are you going to have to prove this, right? Are you going to have to go into Palworld's code and like literally show that they ripped it off? Or is it just because of what you see on the screen? Something about this just stinks. Something about this doesn't smell right. But I'm going to be really curious to see where this ends up going. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on this because I love Palworld. I think games like this should exist. And Nintendo needs to stop being such a prick about some of this copyright infringement. I mean, literally, you guys remember the days where they copyright claimed video games just because we were playing them and it had their music in them? Things have been absolutely insane. Nintendo is a very aggressive dog when it comes to this kind of thing, and I will be very curious to see if Palworld will end up being able to survive the bite that Nintendo just gave them with this lawsuit.